In this video, I'd like to explore three things. Firstly, what is learning? Secondly, what does a typical school classroom look like? And thirdly, what does my classroom look like? Now, I've been teaching at university in Northern Thailand for 12 years, teaching teachers, and I was learning so much from teaching them. They were studying for their masters in teaching English. And I'd always wanted to write a book since the 90s, but teaching was such a joy for me that I didn't have time for writing. Anyway, about 10 years ago, I finally started writing my book because I'd started researching nutrition and diet and health. And this was the missing part to my own life. So I set out to write this book, which would take me about a year, I thought. No, it took 8 years, and then finally it was finished at the end of 2020 in the middle of this COVID stuff. Then it took me 8 months to self-publish. This is the book, Menu for a Spiritual Revolution, Health, Harmony and Happiness. And that's me. Now I'm showing you the book because 2 chapters are related to learning, which for me is absolutely essential skill. Chapter 7 is called Learning, the Mother of All Skills. And I'd like to just read out the introduction to this chapter and the introduction to chapter 8, which is called A Learning Toolbox for the Spiritual Revolutionary. Now, the Learning Toolbox will be on this course that I'm creating now. Fear of failure is our nemesis, the destroyer of the life force in us. We are subconsciously petrified of being seen to be ignorant or unhappy, and this primal energy blocks our evolution. Yet, most of us are ignorant or unhappy most of the time. Our fear is grounded in reality. We fear what we are, yet pretend we are not. And the greater fear is that we shall be found out for what and who we are. There is one glorious path out of this horror show. Learn how to learn, and we're talking proper learning. Question for you, which one is the odd one out? Being taught, being told, being led, being educated, being learning. You've got it. The last one is conceptually as well as grammatically wrong. Do you see the difference in practice? Learning is the greatest of all human endeavors, and we have to do it ourselves. Nobody else can do it for us. Now, the crucial thing here is that in schools everywhere, the focus is on the teachers and the system and the education curriculum and teaching. I've never really been teaching. I'm technically, yes, but what I do in my classroom is I'm a learner enabler. I create conditions that make learning happen in a supportive climate and with joy. Back to my intro, learning, and I specifically mean skilled and enjoyable learning, is the foundation for your transformation. Only you can do it for you. Teachers, gurus, self-help guides, books, all can offer you some help, but only you can do the learning. Committing to learning makes us responsible for our own life. It liberates us from dependency on others, and it enables and empowers us. Learning is the bee's knees. Now, in answer to the question, what is learning? What do you think learning is? We'll talk about the typical classroom in a minute, but there's only, all they do there is rote memory. That's just, there's nothing wrong with rote memorizing. It's very useful, but it's just one sub-skill of many, many other sub-skills of learning. I'm going to read a list out from my book in this chapter, and this is learning various sub-skills. Reading critically, and think which ones you can do. Reading critically, listening carefully, being attentive, noticing, observing, being aware, living consciously, being alert, discerning, thinking creatively, being imaginative, contemplating, reflecting, conceiving, exploring, inquiring, questioning, questioning is a big one, investigating, analyzing, deducing, inferring, making sense of clarifying, making sense of something, clarifying, comparing, memorizing, remembering, recalling, problem solving, expressing oneself, understanding one's fears and desires, experiencing, sharing, giving, keeping a food diary, eating a healthy diet, having faith. That's learning. Now, you may ask yourself, which of those did we practice at school when we were kids? And it's no different today. Final reading for me is the beginning from my chapter 8. A proper education is when we learn how to explore, think, express ourselves, overcome challenges, and manage our own life. Learning is your responsibility. Learning enables your evolution to unfold unhindered. Your evolution is your responsibility. Knowledge is transactional. Learning is transformational. Understanding is liberation. Now, here's one of my maxims I use in life. Observe others and learn about yourself. Observe yourself and learn about others. And the greatest achievement in life is not to be a somebody, it is to be you. Okay, so I think I've sort of answered what learning is. Learning is the every animal species does learning, and mothers have their newborn, and immediately the learning situation occurs. But in my opinion, as an educator of 30 years, our human intelligence has, over the centuries or decades, however long, has become perverted. Our innate intelligence has been suppressed. Our natural joy for learning disappeared at school. Our creativity, our innate curiosity, all of this was just taken away from us. And it seems to me that we were discouraged, demotivated, de-educated, disempowered. Typical classroom, we sit in rows and columns, we listen to the teacher, he tells or she tells us what we've got to learn, we've got to memorize it because we're going to be tested, and if we fail the tests, we have failed as kids. Well, you know, what's going on here? We've had 12 years of sitting in classrooms, just listening, no practice, no learning together with our peers, no collaborative learning. No independent learning going on. We weren't taught how to read properly. We weren't taught how to listen. We weren't given a chance to find our unique talents and express ourselves. There was no speaking, no questioning. It's a horror show, really. And arguably it's worse today than when I was a kid. So we don't really want to focus on the typical classrooms. Home education is exploding right now because, okay, it's been triggered by all the lockdowns and so on. But parents are now finding out the hidden knowledge that schools are not conducive to humanity's well-being. So if you've taken your kid out of school, what are you to do, and how can you educate your kid? Get them to learn. That's the key. In my classroom, I'll just talk a little bit about my classroom. Students come in, we have a little warmer, which is 5 minutes at the beginning to let people, you know, get ready for the learning, get their attention span going, and it's fun, and it's a little competition or something, and everybody becomes eager for the lesson. And then, you know, there's going to be some input, whatever the knowledge is, but we're going to ask questions before the input. I'll put my students into pairs or groups of 3, and they'll chat about this together. So they're working together. They don't have to talk in front of the class. And then, you know, there's a reading, a short text or a little video or something, which is your informational input. It might be about one of my favorites, Ayurveda, which is the Indian system of healthcare, where you are empowered to take care of your own health. So we'll read something, we'll listen to something, and you don't just listen or read, you have questions, which I've set. I set questions for the students to read or listen, and then as they read and listen, they answer those questions. At the end of it, they will compare their answers with their peer or groups of 3, and then we'll come back as a class and we'll discuss the answers. Many times I build in questions that don't have a fixed yes or no answer. The answer depends on the student's opinion and their own view of life. And all views are encouraged. And basically, this is another thing, the learning environment is conducive to feeling good. And when humans feel good, we learn and we want to learn. So in this course that I'm creating now, and if you sign up for the course, number 1 is let's make our kids feel good. When the kids feel good, they will learn. But we have to feel good first ourselves. If I go into my classroom with nursing a hangover and I'm feeling terrible, or I've had a big argument with my wife or whatever, I'm really not in the right mood for teaching. So this is a big thing. We have to take care of our own health. So they've compared their answers, and we've chatted about the text, the listening or the video or whatever. And then now comes the crucial bit, is they've got to do something with what they've learned. And this is so important. It doesn't happen in schools, and I call this bit the output. So they give their views of what they've read, or they apply it to their own life. So maybe we read about, cutting down trees in the Amazon rainforest. Well, the Amazon rainforest is not in every country. What damage is happening in our country? So, what we're doing is we're applying incoming information to our own lives. And in this way, it becomes real and meaningful. That's what humans want. We want to have meaning in our lives. We want to feel useful. We want to be able to do things, and we want to be able to get on with other people. And all of this happens in my classroom. And I'd like to finish by saying that it happens because I use what's called task-based learning. So when I ask questions, or I set challenges, or I do role plays, or I get students to compare their views, these are all tasks. And if you think about it, in the real world, everything we do is some kind of task. But the thing is, in my classroom, all the tasks, nearly all of them, are fun and challenging. I push my students cognitively, but they're fully supported emotionally. And, I've created a climate where everybody loves to be there. Now, if you're teaching your kid, or you're teaching 2 kids, if you've got 2, or you may even, pitch in with other parents, and you may have 4 or 5 kids. Maybe you teach them on Monday, one of your friend parents, they teach them on Tuesday, and so on. So you can split not the duties, you can split the fun. So if you're teaching 1 kid, 2 kids, 5 kids, then, even if it's just 1, there's you and the kid. So that's 2 people co-learning. Now, okay, you're the parent, you're guiding things, but you could teach your kid about something you know about, and you can ask the kid to teach you. So this is the joy of real learning, learning, teaching, motivating. All the lines get blurred, and students absolutely flourish. Everybody's happy. It's a win-win. Now, I think this is what's happening in our world today. There's a massive explosion in home education. Everybody realizes that the world is broken to a great degree. And let me finish this video by giving you one of my maxims. Today's society is yesterday's classroom. Today's classroom is tomorrow's society. Oh, no, I'm not finished. Let me carry on, because I'm going to share my screen. It's going to make the video longer. So if you're still here, well done. This is my education charter that I wrote for the World Freedom Alliance in my education pillar group. What is education? What should its purpose be? So what is education? Navigating change. What's its purpose? Navigate change intelligently and autonomously, yet recognizing the interconnected and interdependent nature of our human family and the whole planetary and universal web of life. How can such an education be delivered? Easily. This course will show you how. Task-based learning. Task-based learning is the thing. There's no other way of learning. Task-based learning puts the responsibility onto the learner's shoulders, but we, as the educator, guide and help them to get what they want and what they need. But of course, we have information to help them. There's my quote, which reminded me to share this screen. So what we want from education is informed by what we want from society and the world at large. So what is the purpose of human life? Why are we even here? Deep down, what is it that we really desire? Feel good. Do we desire the same for everybody else? If I'm super happy and there's a war going on around me, then this is really going to impact on my happiness. So, you know, we are completely connected with each other. That's my view, and with Mother Earth. So we need values, we need common values. And if you've got these values with your kid or with the kids, and I have values in my group, all groups that are successful work on shared values. Now, these are my values, which I think are all humans' values if we think about them. Freedom of expression, freedom from coercion, and the fear of coercion. Not like our world today, is it? As in the adage, cause no harm to others, which is equivalent to ahimsa in Sanskrit, meaning practicing non-violence. Now, I like to say that we should promote and protect diversity in unity and unity in diversity. I am unique, but I'm the same as you. Two things. So if we're in unity, if we work in unity, we are brothers and sisters and we enjoy life. But we have diverse personalities and diverse traits and characteristics. So we need to cultivate our unity and our uniqueness. Living a life of integrity by living with heart. I love acronyms. They're very useful memory joggers. HEART stands for living with honesty, empathy, awareness, responsibility, and trust. If you do that, there's nothing more that you have your base for life. And then whatever it is you like to do, you can do. Being informed and skilled on matters of health, ecology, and harmonious living practices. Self-knowledge and self-respect of ourselves as unique human beings, knowledge and understanding of the web of life. Know who you are, know how life works. Now, I'm not going to go through all these principles, but I would like to let you see the first three. And if you join my course, you'll see all the other ones. Principles go into the values. So once we know our values, we can work out our principles, and this guides us in our educating work of others and in our own life. Skilled educators, and that can be parents, no problem at all. Skilled educators should first be skilled learners. A teacher cannot teach effectively if they are not effective learners. That's 99% of teaching. Nobody knows how to learn in the adult world until they've taught themselves. Educational practice or teaching methodology embraces a student-centered and task-based learning approach, thereby putting the focus on the children, the students, the learners. Student autonomy leads to citizen sovereignty. The educator should view themselves as a learner enabler. He or she is always developing their skills in eliciting, facilitating, enabling, encouraging, motivating, and inspiring. This is in contrast to the orthodox telling and testing. Communication and collaboration skills are constantly cultivated and practiced by all group members, including by the educator. Oh, come on, let's have number 4. The learning environment is emotionally and psychologically supportive and non-threatening, and the educator is responsible for creating and maintaining such an environment. That's you. If you join my course, then you will get as much as I can possibly pack into it. It lasts a month, and the whole focus will be on learning, but part of learning is being healthy. If you're not healthy, you can't learn. You're not in the mood. You're too stressed, or you're too physically sick. So health and learning go hand in hand. And if we adults can break free of this vicious cycle that's been going on for centuries and teach ourselves how to learn and how to educate ourselves, then and only then we can help our kids to teach themselves, to learn for themselves. And then when they're adults, you've done your absolute best as a parent, and they can flourish into adulthood, and you can do the same.